Impossible Foods, and some traditional food makers are now targeting this market with a fourth option, meatless. This new generation of fake meat comes from plant-based proteins, but they're made to mimic the real thing, and investors see so much promise in these new products that they're hoovering up the stocks. Beyond Meat's shares have skyrocketed more than 500% since the company's IPO in May. Think about that, 500%. This puts the company's current value at about $10 billion. That's more than 100 times their sales in 2018. And Impossible Foods, another big player in the meatless alternatives industry, recently raised another $300 million in funding. These companies and others are betting that people might actually change the way they look at meat. But are they right?
One thing that's clear, the market for meatless alternatives is growing. U.S. retail sales of plant-based foods, from imitation burgers to soy milk, climbed to $4.5 billion in 1 year, rising about 11% and outpacing general retail food sales by more than 5 times. And sales of meat alternatives topped $800 million. So in a world where fake meat has been around for decades, why are customers flocking to these new products? Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods are marketing their products differently from traditional meatless alternatives like Garden Burger. They're aiming to feed meat eaters, as well as vegans and vegetarians, since the latter group makes up less than 5% of the US population. In the US today, there are many people who will never give up meat entirely, but who still want to eat less of it. To appeal to meat eaters, companies are trying to mimic the look and taste of ground beef.
Beyond Meat, for example, extracts proteins from yellow peas and combines them with starches, oils, and juices to produce patties that convincingly sizzle.
Beyond Meat has taken the early lead. The initial success of Beyond Meat has attracted big deals with major brands, making the product even more enticing to investors. Dunkin' and the Canadian coffee chain Tim Hortons recently added breakfast sandwiches made with Beyond Meat's imitation sausage. Dunkin' is serving the product at some of its New York City locations, and Tim Hortons is selling their sausage patty at about 4,000 Canadian locations. And since 2017, Beyond Meat has struck deals to supply burger patties to chains including TGI Fridays, Del Taco restaurants, and Carl's Jr. Early success, traditional food companies have been lining up to develop similar products. Companies best prepared to get in on the market include Tyson Foods, Conagra Brands, Unilever, and Nestle, according to an investor.